Andrea, welcome to the Calm Mom podcast. We are so grateful to have you with us today.
I love it. And I love that I'm on the calm mom because that's all I want to be. So thank you for having me.
Let's talk about it. I think that's why we're all here.
Yes.
Okay, so tell everyone listening a little bit about you. You guys, we're actually doing a swap right now. So she also has her own podcast that I'm going to be a guest on. So we'll link all of that so you can check out all her things. But tell the people what you're doing, where you're doing it. She's also a mom, obviously, but let us know a little bit about you.
Yeah, sure. I'd love kind of diving into what is it that I do and who am I because I feel like it's always changing. But as far as what I do, my podcast is called Ivy Unleashed, and we dive into really stories of resiliency. It started as health and wellness topics, and then it turned out someone came on and talked about their husband dying and their divorce and chronic illness. And it's like people want to hear how you get through life, like how real people without a following, some people come on that do have a following, but it's like people like authenticity. They want to hear how are you getting through life and what are some tips to help me not stay stuck in this? Because we all have stuff we're going through, but it's like, how do we tangibly get through this? So that's our main like mental health piece of our business, Gold Ivy Health Co. And the physical aspect, we have Move with Gold Ivy, which is a virtual workout platform to help women, especially with strength training, because it boosts our metabolism. And as we age, we lose our muscle mass, helps women with confidence, those types of things. So those are our two focuses with Gold Ivy Health Co. And on socials, it's about taking care of yourself fun, because if it's not fun, why are we doing it, right? Like if we take ourselves too seriously and we're always like, go, 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 like get it. I get it. I'm a marathoner. I'm trying to run a marathon in all 50 states. But like if I take myself too seriously all the time, I get burned out, I get overwhelmed. And so Brooke and I, my co-host and business partner, we like to just dance, laugh, give tangible tips and value, but also just not take ourselves too seriously.
Yes, you are like speaking my love language. For everyone listening, they hear me talk about that all the time. I'm like, guys, we need to play more. We need to
Yes.
celebrate more, like all these things. And not even just from because we deserve to do that and we're worthy of it. And there's also like a neuroscience component, right? Like we are motivated by celebration. We have to
Yes.
reinforce these things. If it's not fun, we're not going to want to do it. So there's
Exactly.
strategy involved in it too. So I love that so much. I love that you started talking about the stories of resilience that come through your podcast. And I think we all have a story, right? We all have a testimony. We've all experienced hard things. And I think so many of us we're recording this, it's the beginning of the year, and we have all of these goals. Or maybe we're in the middle of something right now that we're like, how? And our mind is so quick to play games on us and set these upper limits that we may or may not be aware of. And
Mm-hmm.
I would love it if you talk to us a little bit about that. Maybe some of the limits that you've experienced and broken through, maybe some of the limits that you've heard that women just share, right? Because I think a lot of these are shared limitations that either, I don't know, the patriarchy or society or whatever, we just put on ourselves.
Yeah.
But just talk to me about it, because I think I'm so curious.
Yeah. Well, when I think of upper limits or, limits in general we put on ourselves, it can be in a lot of categories, right? It could be physical, like, oh, I could never be a runner. No way. You're running marathon Iowa State, not me, and not that you have to want that for yourself, but we put these limits on ourselves of how far we've kind of pushed ourselves physically.
Yeah.
Have we, when the weather gets a certain temperature, do we just say, oh, not for me, those
Yeah.
types of things? And I'm not saying you have to do those things, but when we tell ourselves those things, and a lot of times the signal of the limit is I can't or I
Sure.
could never. It's those self-limiting beliefs really is what the limit is, that whether we've been conditioned to believe them by what our parents said or what we see, the information we're consuming,
Mm-hmm.
we end up believing that's our truth. We take it on as our identity and fill in the blank on what it is. Oh, I'm a big junk food eater, or I'm not a morning person. Like all these
Yeah.
things that the reason we have them truly is to be comfortable, have the comfort, have the safety, have those feelings. And sometimes we need it, right? Like we have
Mm-hmm.
little kids and they're not sleeping through the night. Like I don't want to focus on being a morning person when I've got 3 hours of sleep and my brain is fried. So I didn't become a morning person until my youngest slept through the night. And if you
Yeah.
told me I should have before that, I would have laughed in your face and then turned to a different channel because
Yeah.
we have these limits. Sometimes they're needed, right? We're in these
Yeah.
seasons of motherhood that are really chaotic, and it's hard enough to find time for ourselves for 10 minutes. Like, please don't tell me to run a marathon. So they serve a purpose, but when you start to see them negatively impact your self-esteem, how much you are
Yeah.
able to produce in a day, your ability to get out of bed, that's
Yeah.
where I think those signals are, this might be something that I could explore. Why do I think that I have to eat this way, or I will always be in this
Yeah.
bucket, or will always have this label? Because it's not the truth. We can really shift and change whenever we want to. So I think just testing those limits, pushing it a little bit. Could I get
Yeah.
outside when it's 40 degrees? Could I focus on some vegetables for lunch, even though I normally just do a quick sandwich? How can I test these limits that I've put on myself just a tiny bit to see
Yeah.
what I'm capable of and how good it could make me feel?
Oh, it's so good. So I hear like one, just questioning these things that just come through our mind, right? Like having the awareness of like, whoa, I didn't even realize that I thought that or was telling myself these things. I think that's awesome. And then the next step is actually doing something about it, right? Like you're saying, like just
Yes.
taking a first step or starting. And I wonder, especially with something like running a marathon, because before this moment, I probably would have been someone who was like, I could never run a marathon. I am
But
a
you
very
could if you wanted
slow but
to.
steady, but I could. So, for people listening who are like, we all know like something, right, that we're putting a limit on. And it feels uncomfortable. And it feels like you said, our limit has been serving us in some way. There's a reason that we're thinking this way. What's the best way to push past that discomfort? Is this like a willpower and discipline thing, you think, or is it more nuanced than that?
Yeah, well, an example I think of is I just recently did 75 hard, which I'm not recommending. And this is the type of challenge it's physical and it's mental. And it also, I think, fried my hormones. So I'm not highly
Mm,
recommending this, but I had beliefs about it that that's not for me. That's not for me
yeah.
because I don't do diets. I don't like that. And that's a part of the challenge. But then I found out it was really flexible. And so I just gave up pizza and alcohol and fried food. But anyway, I think it's like when there's an idea of something that's got your curiosity. So if something comes by and it's like a challenge and you're like, I have zero interest in that. Okay, then forget it. But if it's something that's like, oh, I've kind of wanted to get into running. I kind of want to know what it's like
Yeah.
to run a half marathon or a 5K or something where it's kind of speaking to you and you're getting these like,
Yeah.
God, I keep thinking about that a little bit. Then I think that's step number one. Okay, this is something I should maybe think about. What about it intrigues me? So
Hmm.
75 hard, it intrigued me because I love a physical challenge and I love building mental toughness. And so I was like, how would this fit into my life? And I think that question of, okay, it does align with me a bit and I'm curious about it.
Yeah.
There's a reason to tap into it. It keeps speaking to you. And there's so many
Yeah.
distractions that'll get in the way of you actually executing. I do think stars need to align sometimes when you're a mom.
Yep.
But if it intrigues you for a reason. And I
Yeah.
think so many times we just push those things aside, sometimes forever, sometimes for
Yeah.
years, because we have these little people that need our attention. And truly, our culture is put it all on the calendar, put it all on the plate. I'm super
Hmm.
mom. And we are, and we do get it done, but there's a cost. There's a cost
Yep.
to not tapping into it. And so I think it's make sure it aligns. I think it's really start to get curious about why it keeps coming up. And then I think it's
Hmm.
really starting to take some small action of how could this look? Maybe I start getting up 15 minutes earlier, or
Yeah.
maybe I start talking to my partner about how I really want to get outside for a walk, or, whatever that small step feels like that could work you towards that goal, or like starting to tip your dip your toes into the water. I
Yep.
think that's kind of the place to get started so that you realize it's important for me to tap into this. It keeps speaking to me and my needs matter, my interests
Yes.
matter.
Yes.
I'm going from there.
I love that. And I think I just love how you ended that my needs matter and my interests matter. Because I feel like one of the reasons I was put on this planet is to help redefine how we think about self care, especially as moms, right? Like that is self care.
Yes.
Pursuing something that's interesting to me, that's just for me, that is such a beautiful form of self care. And when we talk about limits, I'm sure you hear it a lot. I hear it a lot. And I probably say it more than I should, is that I don't have time. I don't have time for this stuff for myself. I don't have time for whatever. And especially when it comes to things like self care, we think it's a mani pedi or massage, which are awesome, but self care is so much more than that.
Yeah.
But we're so quick to be like, but I just don't have time. Or it feels indulgent or it feels selfish or whatever it is. And I would love for you to speak on that for women,
Mm.
moms, just about self-care. And again, it comes back to like our conditioning and our programming, but why we're so quick to be like, oh, that's indulgent, or I don't have time for that, or I can't make that a priority, or I'm going to be judged, or whatever stuff's
Yeah.
flying through our mind when we do that.
Yeah. I think it's like, first of all, asking yourself, what comes to mind when I think of self-care? Because
Yeah.
it might be the pictures of what you've seen, like you said, the spa day or the pedicure. Like my toenails are always jacked up because I am a runner. So it's like, I don't even want to waste my money on the pedicure. I'm just going to mess them up next month when I run again. So
So true.
that's not for me, but I think it's defining.
Yeah.
And because a lot of moms don't know this. I see this all the time with my clients. It's like, okay, what do you enjoy doing?
Mm-hmm. I
If
don't
you
know.
don't know the answer to that question, that's a
Yes.
problem, because most of my clients, and they're coming to me because they know this is something that I will help them with. They don't know. They have no
Yeah.
idea. So the next question I say is, okay, if no kids are around, nobody's around, or whoever you want is around, and you could spend a day doing anything you want, what would that look like? Like,
Yeah.
just name a couple things you would just love to have just a little bit of time for. And then whatever comes to mind there, naturally, first thoughts, and maybe it is nails, who knows?
Yeah.
Whatever it comes to for you, that's what we need to start tapping into. And then what could kind of be these small things we can do to get us there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be extravagant, right? It could be the telling your partner, I want 10 minutes in the bathroom by myself before we
Yes.
even start bedtime, because I want bedtime to go well. So let me just do my skincare routine before I get into reading books or
Yep.
helping them brush their teeth, those types of things, where it could really be these tiny things. Like for me, I love making video montages of my kids and memories. Self-care could be like just
Yeah.
taking some time to look at those memories that you've made on your phone. That doesn't cost anything. You don't have to go anywhere, but it can cultivate some feelings and some excitement about, for me, I like to plan another trip or
Yeah.
think about those things. And to me, that's cultivating a feeling of I'm cared for, or
Mm-hmm.
my feelings matter. And so it doesn't have to be, because to me, it's stressful to go 15 minutes to the nail salon, sit there. Am I inhaling chemicals? I don't know. How long is this going to last? How much is this going to cost? Like, to me, that's stressful. It's not self-care. And so it's not, it's, it's not saying yes to things that everybody else is saying yes to. It's saying yes to what you know would actually fulfill you or make you feel rejuvenated.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, yes, yes. And I think I have the same experience of asking clients, like, what kinds of things bring you joy? What kinds of things are you interested in? And same, most of them don't know. And I'm so, what's like, gentle, I guess, with that, because that was me. I remember when my kids were, especially when they were really little, it's like you're so hyper focused on just keeping them alive
Yeah.
that there's not really a lot of space, right, in that season to pursue these different things. And it really is an exploration of like, what is my identity? Like, who is Michelle outside of
Mhm.
motherhood or outside of being a mom? And I think society at large doesn't really cultivate space for that. Like, we're not asked to think about the things that we love or enjoy
Mhm.
or hobbies or stuff. So, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I don't know either, like, it's okay.
That's okay. Yeah.
It's okay. But I think, we can grow in our awareness of how much of who we are is tied to just one role of mom. And that can be soul sucking. Like, let's just be real. So
Totally.
yeah. So talk to me a little bit about that. Like, you have 3 kids. Did you find yourself at a point where you're like, wow, I've got to do something about this because everything's revolving around my kids and it doesn't feel right? Or was it more like you just always had this awareness of like cultivating, yourself in a much larger frame than just one role that you fill?
Yeah, I want to back up just for a second to emphasize what you said of like, of course we don't always know what we want, because
Yeah.
it is a season, especially when you've got newborns or toddlers, like of course you aren't completely tapping into what you enjoy doing. Sometimes it's just not realistic, and like
Yep.
you are in survival mode. And so to think of what I enjoy is like, oh Jesus, give me a break. I don't know. I just want to
Sleeping
sleep.
for 4 hours straight.
Exactly. Like, just give me a snack and let me take a nap. I don't even care about my nails. Like, and so I think it's important to accept that there's going to be seasons like this where we don't
Yeah.
know. You don't have to be overwhelmed that you don't know yourself, because it's the biggest job we're ever going to have. We're in
Yeah.
charge of other kids' physical safety and then their emotional well-being. Like, don't even get me started on my fears around that. And so for me, I think a huge part of why I've been able to, I wouldn't say maintain an identity, but like figure out what I need and then act on it has been my support system. It's been having a partner that he has no guilt and no problem saying, I'm going to go skiing in February. I really want to go with the boys. And I'm like,
Same.
how does he, the audacity to just think he can go, you know? And I'm like,
Yes.
I'm jealous of you. And he actually, one
Yeah.
time, we were fighting all the time about his Thursday softball nights. And I was like, you're home so late and then you're so tired the next day. And it was this like cyclical fight. And
Yeah.
he was like, I think you're jealous of me. I think
Yeah.
you should have what I have because it's great. I have a night where I don't have to cook dinner. I don't have to do
Mhm.
bedtime. I get a break. It's all about me connecting with my friends. It's fun. Like,
Mhm.
pick a night and do it. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay. All right. Well, what would work on our schedule? I know that not everybody has that flexibility, but it was like
Yeah.
having the support of, I want you to take care of yourself and I'm going to
Right.
do it. And then talking with friends that are also like, maybe hold you accountable to taking care of yourself. Like you said, you were
That's
going to
right.
start meditating a little bit more. How's that going? You said you were going to sign up for a race. How's that going? You said you were going to meal prep or meal plan. How's it going? I think that really helps a lot too.
Yes. So I hear that so much, and it's almost like we have to, it can be so irritating, but like almost take a cue from our partners and be like, oh wow, like he's onto something here. I think because there's no guilt, right? And there's no like over planning, and there's no making sure that everything with the kids is set up before he goes. He's just like passes the baton and you handle it, and then you come
Mhm.
home and he comes home and he's enjoyed himself and had this experience. And
Well, I think some moms too, though, they might think that's selfish or that's like, I don't even want to do that. And I have a night where it's designated, but like I don't always take that night,
yeah.
So sometimes it's like, no, I want to be home and I want to do bedtime. I like miss my kids because yesterday was busy. I'm not saying you have to remove yourself, but I think it's having the support of a partner that wants that for
Yeah.
you and that
Yep.
you've expressed that that might be helpful or you encourage them to do it or, whatever you might need. I think it's more, you don't have to completely, some people are like, I don't want to abandon my family and have a free for all, but it's like, no, it's just the option to have a break and have the support that says, please do it if you would like to.
Yes, that's huge, right? Having that backing and that support, and just the sometimes just the option and the opportunity is
Yes.
so empowering. I'm like, I could if I wanted to. I'm choosing not to right now, but I
Yes.
could if I wanted to. And what I wanted to say something with that too that I think is really, it's been powerful for me, and maybe it'll help somebody, is that when I've noticed myself, this like goes exactly to what you're saying, feeling resentful of my partner, immediately I start getting curious about what I'm jealous about, because
Yeah.
it's always tied. Anytime I'm resentful about like, oh, I'm doing whatever dinner and he's doing this, or I'm doing bedtime and he doesn't have to do all this stuff, it's like immediately I'm like, okay, what am I jealous about? And
Yeah.
then there's an opportunity there for me to like ask for what I need, ask for help, or whatever it is. But before I would just stew in it. And then when I realized, oh, that's just tied to you perceiving something as being unfair and you're not advocating for yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like, that was a huge shift for me.
Yeah. A majority of the time too, it's like you want them to read your mind and know
Yeah.
what
Yes.
you want. It's so many times my husband's like, I cannot read your, just tell me. They want you to be happy. They don't want you walking
Yes.
around here pissed off. They want you to not be holding all this resentment. They want you to feel good and happy with them. Like ultimately
Yes.
they want a peaceful environment and so do you. And so to
Yeah.
hold that in, it's like just communicate it in a way that's like,
Yeah.
hey, I noticed I was getting jealous of you the other day because of XYZ. Like we said earlier, don't take yourself so seriously.
That's right.
Just make a joke about it, ease into it however you need to, and assume the best of your partner as much as you can,
Yeah.
or have some time to sit down and have those chats that you need to have because being a resentful mom is not fun.
No, not a place for any
We've
of
all
us
been
want to
there, I
be.
feel like
Yeah,
too.
we have. It sucks. Sucks. Okay, so I want to talk about, so Gold Ivy has so many different components, and I love it because it looks at our health in a really holistic way. So for people who are listening who are so curious about just like even the idea of running a marathon in every state, like if they're like, well,
Mhm.
how does she find time for that, or how does that look as a mom to take care of her mental health and her physical health and her emotional health, and how does she do that as a mom with her kids, right? Because obviously you
Yes.
have a passion for it. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Ooh, that's a loaded question. The first thing that comes to mind is I think about transparency with my
Yeah.
kids. I think about transparency with my husband. I think about transparency with myself, like with honestly where I'm at, because I would say since I became an entrepreneur, I'm like, wow, this is a bigger beast than I thought, to build a business that has values, but makes money, but helps people. And the consistency with social media. There's just so much that goes into building a business on top of taking care of yourself and being a parent. And the transparency comes from most of the time when I'm not doing well, where I'm like, man, I feel like my heart's racing. Like, is this anxiety? What is this? And telling my husband, like, hey, I'm going to go for a run. I really need to fit in a run today at some point. When would it make sense? Or if I am having an off day and I'm really short with my kids, or I'm impatient, typically what happens, it takes a little bit for me to realize it. And then I'm like, oh, and then I beat myself up about how I wish I was more patient or loving or whatever. And then it's an opportunity to be transparent with my kiddo and say, I need to repair this. I was really short with you earlier and it wasn't you. That was me. I'm tired. Or I had a rough day and this happened and I'm sorry that I made you feel that way. Or asking them, I don't know how you felt about that situation, but I'm kind of feeling like I could have been nicer to you, or, whatever it is. I just feel like the honesty that Brooke and I have in our business about, we don't ever have anything completely figured out. That's why we created it, right? It's to be honest about where you're at, but not stay stuck there. Like, I'm going to own my mistakes. I know I want to live from a place of honesty and integrity with the people I love. And so how can I let people in to tell them what I'm struggling with so that I don't keep this cycle going? I don't want to keep treating my kids like that. And I know I'm going to keep making mistakes, which is another opportunity for connection, I feel like. And so with the mental health piece, I feel like transparency is huge. With the physical piece, I think it's a lot of being honest about where you're at. So I don't know what I'm doing with strength training. I don't know where to start. That's why we created Move with Gold Ivy. It's like, we'll create a workout plan for you and have workouts for beginners, intermediate, and advanced, because people don't know what they're doing, and that's okay. But to admit it and say, okay, I would like to run a half marathon, but I don't know where to start. Like, don't just start running 5 miles at a time. Don't pick up 100-pound weights, right? It's understanding where you're at, but knowing I can't stay here. I need to move my body. I need to get outside for a 10-minute walk on a break. I need to start doing resistance with just my body. I need to talk with a coach because I don't know what I'm doing, And I think it's also transparency about, okay, where am I at with my health physically? Let's ease into this. Let's get some help. Let's have some support and some good influences to help us along the path too.
It's so good. So for the people listening who are like, that sounds like exactly what I need, especially for my physical health, what's the platform for Gold Ivy? Like, how do they access this? How are you delivering it?
Well, we talk about it and show about it on all socials. So Instagram and TikTok are huge for us. And then if you want to just go to our website, it's goldivyhealthco.com/move is the page that you'll find Move. But that's all linked from any of our social platforms too. So it's Gold Ivy Health Co.
Awesome. And they can do these workouts from home, and it's just like a guided plan. Oh,
yes, it's amazing. From home, and it's Brooke and I. And so our banter, she's 10 years younger than me, and she's hilarious. And it's like, we're not sisters. I'm married to her cousin. So it's like a family bond, but like a lot of respect for each other. We both didn't grow up with a lot of guidance. And so we're building something from what we needed, but we also don't take ourselves too seriously and just love to joke and make it fun. And so it's like, you'll see we're kind of the yin and the yang. She likes to slow it down and do the deep breaths and be mindful of mental health. And I'm like, let's go. Let's do some HIIT. Push yourself, And so it's kind of like whatever you'll probably be drawn more to the blonde or the brunette. You can decide. But it's more to like finding the balance of that. Like, you can't have one without the other. You have to take care of mental and physical. You need the push. You need the slow down, that type of balance. And so we try to make it fun.
It's so good. I love all of that. So I want to hear a little bit about, so you obviously have a lot going on, kids, the business, like this is awesome. You're taking care of yourself, you're exercising, your mental health. For women listening who are like, man, how do you not only get this all done through the day? Like, we all have 24 hours and we talk about that a lot, but have the energy, right? And the bandwidth to be able to do it without constantly being in a place of dysregulation in your nervous system. Talk to me a little bit about some of the things that you've really latched onto that work well for you to kind of sustain your energy through the day, or make sure that you're just showing up, mom, wife, business owner, coach, all the ways you want to be
Yeah.
doing so
Oh, I
powerfully?
love that question because a lot of people are like, how in the world are you this energetic? And I just want to say that my youngest is 5. So that's a benchmark to say, I am calmer now than I ever was. And it's because I keep finding ways to regulate my nervous system and learning about
Yeah.
what that is. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So when I had my first, I think I had undiagnosed postpartum anxiety.
Yeah.
And I was in a hyper alert state and I was offended by a lot of things and I was nervous to do a lot of things. And then I don't know, I feel like as years go on, you know, get more comfortable because you know what you're doing finally, because who knows what they're doing as a new mom.
No one.
But I think through the years, something that has really helped me is movement, is
Yeah.
like you just can't deny that you have to move your body. And it, to me, and for, you know, physiologically, it's going to help regulate your nervous system. It's going to get you the endorphins. It's going to help you clear your mind, especially if you get outside. I don't care if it's raining, if it's snowing. I had to do 75 hard, which meant an outdoor workout every day. There is something to it that will help your nervous system
That's
regulate
right. Yes.
and help you feel good about yourself. I could go on and on and on. But I would say number one has been movement, and then
Mhm.
staying firm in my faith, in that knowing like I have purpose, I
Mm.
matter here, and whatever that is for you, that I have always connected to prayer. And I feel like
I love
you
that.
can't pray. I guess you could pray running, but like typically you need to sit down and you're taking deeper breaths, your eyes are closed, and you're praying. And
Yeah.
to me, I think that was like the simplest practice I could do to get started, or to like keep the momentum of calming me down.
Yes.
And then like Brooks constantly meditating and doing all this woo-woo-y stuff she's gotten me into, where it's like, okay, there's something into this meditation of like,
Yeah.
even if it's just hearing your breath, that's calming you
Yeah.
down. And then all of a sudden, I don't feel like I'm in this rat race. I feel like when my kid walks
Yes.
up to me now, I can look at him and I can be present with him. So I'm starting to get more into meditation. It's something I've been doing for a couple years, but I'm realizing there's really more to this than I thought.
Yes.
So just those 3 things. I mean, there's so many other things that I've realized, okay, I probably don't need my 3rd cup of coffee that's going to jack up my nervous system. Recently, I've been giving up alcohol more often because that
Yeah.
jacks up my nervous system. The next day I'm more anxious, my heart's racing. And so I think
Yeah.
it's really tuning into your body and just starting to like, oh, I feel better today. I feel more
Yes.
present with people. I don't feel like I'm racing, rushing. My brain is thinking of 17 thoughts at once. And
Yes.
then start weaving more of that in. Grab onto something you know, do
Mhm.
it more. Then tune into Call Mom or Ivy Unleashed, get another nugget, implement, and just know that this is an ongoing process and it's not going to be perfect.
I could not endorse any of that anymore. Like it's yes, 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 yes. It's so good. And yes, some of it is um, bio individual or your circumstances, but most of that will help anybody feel
Mm-hmm.
better and have more energy. I love it. Okay, so we talked about the socials and the platform and your website, but tell the people where they can find you. We'll put all of this in the show notes for you guys, but let us know where they can connect if they want more.
Yes. Yeah. I would say probably the biggest, we are very active on Instagram all the time. You can always shoot us a message if you're like, I'm thinking about this. I'm not sure. Gold Ivy Health Co. is our handle everywhere. So
Okay.
I know you'll plug that. And then Ivy Unleashed is our podcast. That's on Spotify, Apple. I can find us there. And then everything too, if you're like, I don't know about social media, goldivyhealthco.com has everything linked there, and you can find our email and all that good stuff through the website.
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you so much for just making the time to speak into us today. I'm sure that everyone that was listening is walking away with a new handle and maybe even a new mindset that they can start putting into practice. So appreciate the work that you're doing. And thanks for being with us.
Yes, thank you for having me. I love what you're creating. I love your presence and your tips. I feel like that mix of science and authenticity of like you're
Mm.
also living this is so powerful. So thank you for creating the platform that you're creating too and having me.
Ah, yes. Awesome. Appreciate you.